are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no short, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 381 of the New York Knicks Show, part of the Almighty Bowler Podcast Network and new to Dash Radio. I think last episode did not premiere on Dash, so I think this will be our Dash premiere.
Oh.
So we'll be on
Or
Dash.
next week will be the Dash premiere, or the week after will be the Dash premiere, or we're never going to be on Dash. This is all a great big conspiracy.
So if you're listening to us for the first time on Dash Radio, welcome to the show. I guess we should do our little intro again, explaining the show, because I don't think the last one got on.
Why don't we just take out, edit in the one from last week?
You want me to do extra work already?
We are a show. We talk about the Knicks, the NBA. We try not to get facts correct. We are not a very serious show. The goal is to be like your buddies who are talking about the Knicks in a bar with you. Your half-drunk buddies who are very passionate but have no clue what they're talking about most of the time. That is us, and that is our show. And we're going to talk about the Knicks and the NBA here today.
All right, there you go.
It's playoff time, which means there's almost nothing Knicks related to talk about, as usual.
Although this is one of the longest streaks of the season the Knicks have had without embarrassing themselves.
Yes, the Knicks have not lost a game in a while. They've not embarrassed themselves in a while. They've stayed out of the negative headlines. This is probably the highlight of the season.
We have actually gone between episodes without one incident, which almost never happens. So this is a monumental occasion.
Okay, yes, go Knicks. Do they get a parade?
Well, we'll give them a little one. I'll march around my apartment after the show.
Okay. I wanted to talk about, there was someone had they put out like a little infographic with Carmelo Anthony's record. Sorry, the Knicks record when Carmelo Anthony does not play, and they compared it to some other players. They took Anthony Davis, what his team's records are when he doesn't play, Paul George, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin. And can you guess who has the worst teammates?
I don't think this is a very difficult quiz. I'm going to go with Carmelo. I mean, if anybody's even close, I would say Anthony Davis.
Yeah, so I mean, not worse than they're bad human beings, but just their ability to win games when Carmelo Anthony's on the floor. And you would say, I know everyone has given Melo a lot of crap, and I think Carmelo should be traded. I don't think his timeline with the Knicks' success makes any sense. I think next year, whatever team Melo is on, he will look really good, and he will help that team in their playoff run. And people are going to say, why'd you trade him? He looks so good. It's just not on the timeline we need. He doesn't play enough defense. There are a lot of good reasons to trade him, and we're building for the future. But that being said, do you think Melo's getting too much blame for how bad the Knicks have been?
A little bit, yeah, because this team has been terrible.
There's a little bit of Phil versus Melo drama here. Not actually Melo. I mean, there's a little bit of obviously Melo versus Phil in actuality, and he's trying to trade him. But just there's people on the Melo camp, and there are people on Team Phil where they'll say, well, Phil is really if Melo had bought into the triangle and bought into the system, the Knicks would be a lot better.
No, that's a bunch of garbage.
A horse pile of donkey do. But then there's the people on the Melo side who are he hasn't had good teammates. The Knicks would be better if they have a terrible cast around him.
See, I would say that the first 3 years Melo was here, when they did make the playoffs, but they didn't go anywhere in the playoffs, that I would put on Melo. We've brought it up a million times, not waiting for the, end of the season, forcing a trade, not a lot of surrounding parts to help him out. But, that lasted about 3 years. Since then,
just to jump in, you could always defend Melo by saying, it's even though Melo demanded a trade here, it's not like he was the person operating as our GM, making the boneheaded trade of like they knew they had to trade him to the Knicks, and the Knicks were like, let's up our offer anyway.
Yeah, no, that's true, but it's also, they weren't in a very good bargaining position, and it was peak Melo, so that he's going to go for a lot. But all right, all that aside, after those 3 years, the franchise has made nothing but terrible roster moves, and I put none of that on Melo.
I mean, the crazy thing is, when he got here, those first 3 years, that was the better roster he had. So let's just point out for the people that have not seen this infographic. So Melo. So let me start at the top of the list just to say how crazy this is. So Blake Griffin, when he does not play, the Clippers are 51-32.
Makes sense. They got Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan.
They don't miss that much of a beat when Griffin's not playing. In many ways, a lot of what Griffin does is replicated by DeAndre Jordan. In many ways, it would almost make sense to trade Blake Griffin for Carmelo Anthony, right? From the Clippers' perspective.
Yeah, I mean, well, they can't now.
Why not?
He's a free agent.
Griffin is a free agent?
Yep.
Oh, I thought Paul was a free agent. They're both free agent?
I think Paul has an opt-out clause. Griffin's a free agent.
Maybe they can do a sign and trade. Whatever. Melo can score from more parts of the floor. He can shoot from the outside. It's not like Blake Griffin's an amazing defender either.
Right.
Anyway, so the Clippers probably should. They don't miss Blake Griffin that much. Kevin Durant, his teammates, and I guess this includes Oklahoma and Golden State. His teammates are Griffin. They're 51-32, which is basically a high-seeded playoff team.
Yeah.
Durant, they're 46-39. So basically, and I know this doesn't add up to 82, but they're basically when he doesn't play, his teams are still basically a playoff team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's had Westbrook, who obviously still looks pretty good, even though obviously had a triple-double this year. He can play without Durant. Beyond that, Oklahoma didn't have the best supporting cast as we've seen, and in Golden State, the supporting cast is insane, right?
It's not even doing it justice to call them a supporting cast.
I mean, I guess also Kevin Durant, his record is a bit. He missed a bunch of games this year, and the team that probably helps the record there, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're including a 14-0 run they went on when he got injured near the end of the season.
But either way, the teams even before that, they had a pretty decent record.
Yeah.
Paul George, 37-47. Indiana's kind of dog poo without Paul George, right?
Yeah. Yep, as we'll find out next season when he leaves.
Yes, but they still have a couple players. They're still not. So they're winning 44% of their games. So they're still not horrible. They're probably fighting for a ninth seed kind of record.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis, who everyone goes, if Anthony Davis just has, and now he obviously has what's his name? Cousins. But everyone's saying Anthony Davis has had no help whatsoever, and it's a travesty the kind of team they put around him. And he's had Drew Holiday for a little while, but Drew Holiday's always injured. The record there, 24-51, 32% of their games without Anthony Davis. That's pretty god awful, right?
Yeah.
That is, you couldn't pretty much put a worse cast around someone to have a team that has only wins 32% of their games when you don't play, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it gets worse than that.
You do actually know what the number of Anthony? Did you see this already?
Yeah.
Okay, of course. Carmelo Anthony, is it close to 32%? It's not even in the ballpark. When Anthony does not play, and this is not a small sample, his Knicks teams are 9-51. That means they only win 15% of the time when Anthony does not play. Holy crap.
I mean, that pretty much shuts down the whole "it's all Anthony's fault" argument right there.
I don't know. They won 31 games this year. I might put Anthony in the running for MVP. Who's more valuable?
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, without him, they probably win 12 games. He is almost 20-game improvement if you just go in percentage. Yeah, I would say Anthony. I'm going to put him up for MVP.
I get it because it's like I can't see other than Porzingis, like none of our other starters would start on another team.
You might have what's his name starting?
Maybe Courtney Lee.
Yeah, maybe Courtney Lee. But if you look back at this, it's not even that. Like you look back at the guys they've had around him and how when he first got here, when they were making the playoffs, that was the better squad around him. How ridiculous it is these days. Like you want to whatever Phil wants to say, you have put. Your squad is so inferior. J.R. Smith, like you got rid of J.R. Smith, he was one of the better players that's been around Melo since he's been here.
Yeah.
And that's not like saying he should have kept J.R. Smith. It's just saying how much of an indictment it is on how of his ability to build a team around him.
I mean, other than one, arguably 2 seasons of Amari, JR was his best teammate the entire time he's been in New York.
I mean, you could argue Tyson Chandler, Defensive Player of the Year that 1 year. I don't know if Amari really did him any favors while he was here. And you want to say people will support like Derrick Rose say when Derrick Rose did not help the team. He was like a -3. If you just look at plus minus, Derrick Rose was one of the worst NBA players this season. He's negative plus minus of the 400 something NBA players. I don't have the exact numbers here, but he was the mid 300s as far as number like where he ranked among NBA players in plus minus. I don't know if that stat means everything, but it probably means he didn't help the Knicks this year.
Yeah, I mean it's a big enough sample size where you could say it was an issue.
It's just an amazing. Just looking at that, like you're like, because I also just the fact that it didn't kill me that like Blake Griffin, the team was so much fine without him, or Durant, or even Paul George. I looked at Anthony Davis. I was like, holy crap! They're like. His team is so much better than the Knicks are when Melo doesn't play.
Yeah.
Like his supporting cast, everyone's been calling such crap. Anthony Davis, make the goddamn playoffs. Melo could make the playoffs with Melo kept making the playoffs the first couple of years he was here with the crap we gave him.
Yeah, it's bad, and that just it doesn't. Anthony aside, that just shows what kind of a franchise we have right now.
So here's a question. And I mentioned this before, but Melo likely will be on a different team next year, right?
It's looking like that.
And it's likely going to be a team that is in a playoff race, right? It'll probably be a team that made the playoffs this year, right?
I can't see him waiving his no trade clause for anything other than that.
I mean, people talk about Cleveland or maybe Boston, the Clippers. People now bringing up the Bulls.
I mean, how nice is it that the Clippers lost in the first round? They might panic trade now.
What are you talking about?
Clippers got eliminated today.
Oh, they did get eliminated today?
Yeah.
I didn't realize they got eliminated today.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't make it out of the first round again.
I did not even realize that they lost today. I'm paying a lot of attention.
I thought you were messing with me.
No, that is great.
This is what we were talking about the not being professional.
Not even close to being professional. I'm surprised we got the same. I'm surprised we figured out what city the Clippers are playing out of. Anyway, here's the question to you. Melo's will be on a different team next year. Miami's the only team that's not in the playoffs that I could see him going to because they had a very good second half. I could see Melo maybe accepting a trade there. But do you think Melo will look as good as he looked this year in the Knicks, worse, or 1,000 times better next year?
I wouldn't say 1,000 times better, but I could see him definitely looking better, just having better teammates around him.
I think he'll look a lot better. I think people, just the same way that JR, people are like, oh, JR's not so bad when he was on Cleveland. And obviously that's a big stretch being on Cleveland next to LeBron. It's not like JR was so much better. It's just he was playing on such a better team.
Right.
I think you
we
put Melo on a
practically
team
ran him
that's
out of New York.
Yeah, you put Melo on a team that's run really well, I bet he looks a lot better. I bet his defense doesn't even look as atrocious because he has a bunch of guys playing defense. They have a real system. He'll adapt.
Yeah, remember how bad Jamal Crawford was on defense? But, Clippers at least make the playoffs every year. They could hide him when you have other good people on the team.
If the Clippers can figure out a way, if you're the Clippers, how do you not figure out a way to not that I'm dying to get down Blake Griffin here, but you don't figure out a way to sign and trade Blake Griffin to the Knicks and get Melo there. The team would look so much better there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, what else is going on, Jay? That's pretty much all the Knicks news we have.
I wanted to talk about the horrible, horrible schedule, the playoff schedule.
What is so horrible about the playoff schedule, Jay?
Well, we had a 6 p.m. game on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Well, first of all, the whole reason they stretch out the first round to ungodly proportions is to maximize TV viewing, right?
Right. They want to stretch it out. I mean, the goddamn NBA playoffs might be longer than the regular season.
So,
yeah.
If you're trying to maximize TV viewing, why have a game that airs at 3 p.m. on the West Coast? How many people do you think watch that on the West Coast?
Well, you know, the same way. Like, I totally get what you're saying, but when you start games at like 9:30, I'm just not going to see that whole playoff game either.
No, I get that, but the reason they did that is because there was 2 East Coast games.
Right.
And they didn't want to have them on at the same time. But the reason there was 2 East Coast games is because they had 3 goddamn West Coast games on Tuesday. I mean, is the guy who made the schedule drunk? Like, let's put all the West Coast games on one day and then all the East Coast games on the next day. But, oh, my God, now there's too many East Coast games, so we have to start at 6 p.m. What is going on? You couldn't have moved one of the West Coast games to Wednesday and then had an East Coast game on Tuesday?
Do you want to just cut to the scene of you chewing out the guy who made the schedule?
Sure.
Jay, I don't know what's the issue, Jay? Like, all the teams play in the same time zone.
Yeah, that's not really the way it works.
Yeah, no. I mean, they all played all their games at the same time. What all the games start at the same time? What are you talking about?
You know what else is ridiculous? The Cavs have been.
You're not even going to do the scene with me. What the hell's wrong with you?
There's another complaint.
Oh, you have another complaint?
I have another complaint.
Well, how many complaints do you have
There's
here?
a lot of complaints.
You write your complaint, your anonymous complaint on the yellow paper. You put it in there, and then I throw it away. That's how it works here, Jay.
Were you drunk when you made the schedule?
I mean, Jay. I mean, this is the NBA. What are people going to watch hockey?
I mean, look, Cleveland has been off for over a week. Toronto finished their series on Thursday.
Listen, when LeBron made his schedule, he wanted a week off. What do you want from me?
So then,
I had to listen to my boss.
So then the Celtics and the Wizards both played Friday night. And for some reason, their series begins today on Sunday.
I have to show something. LeBron didn't want to play today.
So LeBron made the schedule. That makes more sense.
You have to listen to your boss.
Is he the boss of everybody? Seems like he's GMing teams and coaching, and now he's making playoff schedules, giving himself a week off.
Yeah, it seems like he. Yeah, now that you. I think he signs my paycheck actually.
Does Adam Silver send you a letter at the beginning of the season saying do what LeBron says?
The only time I see Adam Silver, he's clad in he's all covered in leather, and LeBron's doing some stuff with him. It's weird.
The more you know.
Yeah, but anyway, did you watch the game at 6:00?
No, because I was at work.
Well, quit your job.
Well, that seems totally reasonable. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
You'd have more time to watch the playoffs. Have you thought about that?
I definitely would.
You should. If you got a job at ESPN, you'd be home free to watch the game because you wouldn't be working there anymore.
All right, let's move on.
Speaking of, do you want to welcome our guest for Sir Insider?
Sure. So this is Sir Insider, the guy who makes the Insider section of ESPN.
Hi, Jay. My voice sounds very similar to the previous guest voice, but I'm Sir Insider, Sir Duke Insider, and I'm here. You wanted to talk about the ESPN. What's going on over there? I've heard some rumblings about some dissatisfaction for what happened there.
It almost seems like turning your site into a Twitter feed and then making all your content paid didn't really work out.
Yes, it all worked out really well, and now we have a new strategy which we are deploying right now. We are deploying many of our staff members to go out and deliver the news directly to the public. And
Oh,
we're going
wow.
to give them a lot more time to do so.
For free? Or are you going to charge for that too?
No, this is going to be part of our free content. We took many of our most well-respected hosts of shows and content providers, and we told them, now you have 24 hours a day to tell your friends and neighbors all about what's going on in sports.
That is quite a bold strategy.
Yes. We said, go off. You must prophesize the ESPN message. You go. So we sent them off, and they will. I don't think they'll report back ever, but they'll spread the message.
Brilliant. As
Yes.
always, Sir Insider, you are a brilliant man.
And if you want to read the results of our strategy, you have to pay the insider fee.
Are you going to write an article about why the playoff schedule is so messed up?
We are writing an article about the playoffs, and if you pay the insider fee, you will find out when the playoffs are, who won the playoffs, and the new cool way to spell the word playoff.
Can you just tell me how you spell it now?
Well, if I told you, we'd have no content to sell to fans.
Huh. Okay. The ads
Yes.
all over the website isn't enough revenue?
We were hoping that players could, for now, one of the strategies we were discussing with the NBA, is to have players only answer the questions in their post-game press conferences in the form of a company slogan. Like when you ask LeBron James when he wants to win the title, he'll just say, "Just do it." You ask, when you ask, I have to think of other slogans that we are having people to do. Like if you ask, I got another one. If you ask Jordan on the Clippers, DeAndre Jordan, about his defense, he'll say he's the quicker picker-upper. Bounty. Those kind of messages would be a boon to the industry. We need to find more ways to make money. We're also hoping Donald Trump will make it mandatory that you do no longer allowed to cut your cable.
Well, thank you, Sir Insider. Insightful as always.
You are welcome. And to all my fans out there, I have to say,
$5 footlongs.
$5 footlongs. That is a good way to live your life.
All
I
right.
love what you do for me, Toyota.
So, thank you, Sir Insider. So last week, we got a question about free agents coming up because everyone's sick of the trade Melo talk and they want to hear about some other
Yes.
players.
Yes.
So I went through all the players that are entering free agency for the summer and our chances of getting them. And
You did research.
I did.
Is your way of telling me you're moving on to a better show?
it's my way of saying after doing this, I cried myself to sleep.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us more what you've learned.
Okay. So, two of the best free agents out there are with a reasonable price and a good fit for us happen to be Ron Baker and Justin Holiday.
Oh, I've actually scouted them.
Yeah, I've done some extensive scouting on them too, and I think they'll be good for the team.
Just evaluate these guys. Ron Baker, I can't remember what team he played on last year, but he stood out for being most of the time the only guy in the court that played a lick of defense.
Yes.
So I like that.
So just to go over the cap situation, right now we're gonna have if we renounce all our cap holds, we'll have $22.5 million in free space. But
Does that include renouncing Derrick Rose?
That includes renouncing Rose, Holiday, Vujicic, and Baker.
Okay.
So we have a qualifying offer for Baker for $1.1 million. So we'll probably do that.
Okay.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So that brings us down to $21.4 million, and we'll probably make Holiday an offer.
Yes. How much do you think Holiday's going to get?
Let's see. He's making 1.4 this year. What do you think? 6?
What did Lance get? He's going to get something near what Lance got.
Yeah, it was about 6, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Over 4 years.
O'Quinn's
20...
making like 4. So, Lance Thomas is making 6.6. So, you do that gives us about $14 million a year.
Holy crap! I'd even put 2 and 2 that we half a third of our cap space has to go to get Justin Holiday back on the team.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
how? Here's the thing. People don't give Phil enough credit for not when he looks at this stuff, just not killing himself. So, just saying. Okay.
So big name guys that I don't think will be getting with our cap space, but are out there: Griffin, Ibaka, Tyreek Evans, Patrick Patterson. I think their teams are probably going to keep them.
You think Evans is going to get a big deal?
I think if he does, I hope it's not from the Knicks.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So then there's guys that would be a good fit, but they're restricted free agents. So we got Mirotic, Otto Porter, Nerlens Noel, Bogdanovich, Caldwell Pope, Joffrey Laverne, and Poitras.
I think the Knicks should try to make a max offer to a bunch of those guys just to screw over those teams. Because the strategy should put everyone in cap hell. Teams that have Washington has to match whatever you do for Otto Porter, so give him a max offer. Screw Washington.
Yeah, but that's what teams try to do to us, and they ended up with Landry Fields for $15 million.
Yeah, well, that was hilarious.
So, I most of those guys are probably not going anywhere. So that leaves just a handful of guys. We got James.
Wait, what do we talk about? So Drew Holiday, we're not going to be able to afford him based on this.
Yeah, that was the next tier of guys I had up there. Drew Holiday, who with $14 million might not get it done.
Well, you might sign Drew Holiday and just not bring back Holiday. I mean, you may not bring, but you have to bring back his brother, so it's not going to make sense.
Yeah, I know. So then you got Jeff Teague,
and there's a chance, being the fact that they're brothers. Justin has told him a thing or two about playing in New York, and then Drew would have to be insane to come here.
Right. So now you got Jeff Teague, James Young, who's he's not even getting any minutes, and he's one of those potential guys in Boston, but he's not even getting any minutes.
And give him money then.
And Patty Mills, who considering Tony Parker is almost toast, I doubt.
I would be shocked if San Antonio why would he leave San Antonio?
Yeah,
you'd have to really blow the offer out of the water. Give him a max deal, which would be insane to make it worthwhile for him to leave.
Yeah, exactly. So,
if this ends up with us re-signing Derrick Rose, I'm going to reach through Skype and kill you.
So basically, what I'm saying is there's not a lot out there.
What else is there?
I mean, it gets worse from there. It's just worse players and worse contracts. So. That was I picked out the best ones. I mean, a lot of the free agents are on the wrong side of 30. So I eliminated anybody who was 29 and older right off the bat, and that was a large percentage of the players.
I'm guessing you do your free agent charts the exact opposite way Phil does his.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I obviously want to find up-and-coming players. I feel like they're going to have to do a lot of Kyle O'Quinn moves. Find guys who are not getting a ton of minutes, maybe the guy Young, whatever, who are not getting a ton of minutes, give them a somewhat some kind of guaranteed deal where they'll go for overpay them a little bit and hope it works out.
Yeah.
That's the best way. That's your best chance to really, doing anything in this free agent market. You're not going to – I mean, also, signing Drew Holiday doesn't make a ton of sense anyway.
Why not?
the guy has like a long history of injuries, and I know a lot of people have a long history of injuries. I don't think he's leaving anyway. But the injury history kind of worries me, and you're going to pay Drew Holiday a ridiculous amount of money. Is he worth a max deal?
No, and his injury history scares the living crap out of me.
I just feel you're going to have to give him a max deal, and I feel like the max deal is going to look pretty stupid later on.
Yeah.
I am of the belief here when people go like, if the Knicks draft a small forward, and you're like, well, you can't like, and you have to bring back Rose because you can't have like Ron Baker be your starting point guard. Why? Why not? Like, are the Knicks going anywhere next year? Is there any reason you have to make a dumb move for like a Derrick Rose because you just have to? Well, we don't have anyone else. Start Baker. See how it works out.
Yeah.
Fine.
If it
Give Randle a
doesn't,
minute.
if it doesn't work out, we get another good draft pick.
Yeah. The only thing guaranteed is if you make one of those moves where you're like, well, we had to bring Rose back because you had to bring back somebody. That will not work out. That's what the Knicks have been doing for 15 years, and it never works out.
Right. There's nothing wrong with going into the season with some cap space. You know how, like, every single year right after the trade deadline, a bunch of good players get cut and the Knicks don't have money to pick them up?
Yeah. You know how every time the Knicks make a big signing and it doesn't work out, just don't sign the guy and it just won't work out. I don't know. Like it's the same logic where people are like, well, you had to sign Noah. You had to sign someone big to play center. Why? Where were we going this year? Do you think Noah will be a $15 million a year coach by his fourth season?
I mean,
Or $17 million a year coach, sorry. Or
yeah,
18,
I wonder if to get out of it we could do that. Be like, no, we're going to make you coach and offer you more money than you're playing if you tear up your actual contract.
Or just like, I feel like he might be a decent coach. Like, just make him the coach and be like, you're $18 million a year. Just do something for us. Now you're coaching.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess what? Strive is messaging me saying Will Barton is free agent too.
Okay. I mean, Barton would be good, but
I don't know why Barton's not on this list.
Why is Denver not going to bring him back? Is he restricted or just a free agent? Like, is Denver really going to let him go?
I don't think so.
I mean, here's the thing also is a lot of the guys, I know you have to always kind of overpay in free agency anyway, but a lot of these guys, like, why are they going to leave their team? I see an article here saying Will Barton won't okay Denver Nuggets extension. So if he declines Denver Nuggets extension, do you think he wants to go to another, like, disaster, or does he want to go to a team that's good?
Right.
Like, why are you attracted to coming to the Knicks?
I don't know. Anyway, so my whole point in this exercise was that free agency doesn't look good. Don't expect. This is why you don't blow all your money in free agency sometimes, because nobody here is going to make a big difference and help this team.
Yeah, that's a good. Basically, we're gearing up for next year's draft already. If the players just sign young guys and see how it works out. Don't go overpay for anyone because it's not. We're not going anywhere next year, right?
Right. Even if we got the top two guys in the free agency class, we're still like maybe barely an eighth seed. So like, let's temper expectations and work on developing the young guys.
It also, like, let's say you're like, oh, we're gonna trade Melo, and then sign big name free agents so we could win now. If you're gonna win now, you might as well just keep Melo. He'd be the best acquisition you could make.
Yeah. Like I said, if you trade Melo to spend money on free agency, you're not getting a guy better than Melo in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, let's say you trade Melo and you get back a Blake Griffin. Okay, so you have a pretty good team. Griffin's not 50. You probably have to sign him to a max deal. I don't. It seems
like a lateral move to me, though.
Yeah. The whole idea is that you trade him and just get like spare parts, and like the Patrick Ewing trade where you got back nothing for him.
I mean, Griffin's 28, which is better than, he's under 30, but he's still. I would rather get a younger guy.
So you were telling me, just going back to Melo for a second, that you were listening to a Minnesota Timberwolves podcast where they basically were laughing about Melo and saying, "I'll give you a bag of chips for Melo." Like, who the hell wants to trade for him?
They were proposing Say Phil calls up Minnesota and says, we will trade you Melo for 2 second-rounders and Cole Aldridge. And every guy on that podcast said they would not do that.
Which I'm sure they were joking a little bit.
They were not.
Totally.
They were not.
I'm not even going to talk about how absurd that is for a trade.
Well, their argument was, what does Melo give them that they don't have on their team already? They got Wiggins, who could put up a lot of points, and what they need is defense, which Melo doesn't bring. So they basically said Melo wouldn't make their team better. He would take minutes away from young guys, and he doesn't do anything that they don't already do.
I mean, I think he's better than Wiggins, but I also think he's a lot older than Wiggins, so that's a pretty fair point.
I'd rather Wiggins. I wouldn't want Melo coming on the team and taking minutes away from him.
Yeah, you're right. Melo wouldn't make that big of a difference in that team. So why do it? Especially when you have a bunch of young guys you're developing. Why push the pace with it? Why try to win now when you're not on that timeline anyway?
It was just kind of eye-opening hearing what other people think of and then they were trying to find a spot for him, and they couldn't find one fit
on their team or any other team.
Any other team.
Well, that's absurd. Well, he fits on you put him on Cleveland. I'm sure they'd love to have him.
Yeah, but it's hard to fit in $24 million.
Oh yeah, that part of it. I mean, it makes sense that a playoff team would want him. But you have to fit in that gigantic. How many playoff teams can fit in $24 million into their cap?
Right. That was also their point. They're saying oh, he would work out in Toronto, but how are you going to free up enough space?
I don't know. The Celtics could trade a bunch of guys to us.
Yeah.
It's not exactly an easy trade to make.
I was kind of hoping Celtics lost in the first round, so they do something stupid.
Yeah, the problem also with the Clippers is they don't have that much beyond Blake Griffin. They don't have a lot to trade to us. Austin Rivers that's your prize for getting the Melo trade.
Oh, that would be so depressing.
I mean, they apparently don't have a draft pick till 2021 to trade, so that's depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also the idea of basically you're he's over 30. How old Melo? 32?
Yeah.
He's 32 years old, had some kind of shoulder issue that he's had for the last couple of years. He'll definitely going to miss some games. He doesn't play a lot of defense these days. Not the best teammate in the world these days. Or I don't know if he's not the best teammate, but he doesn't pass a lot. Or his numbers aren't even that bad, actually. I don't know. He holds the ball a lot. And the Knicks are garbage the last 3 years with him. Why do you want to overpay for him?
Yeah.
So what do you think Phil means when you need to get something significant for him?
I think Phil means I am crazy and out of touch, and I think I'm going to get back a whole boatload for a guy who's past his prime.
When I said I need to get something significant for him, that was my way of saying he'll play here for 2 more years. Playoff preview. You want to talk about playoffs?
Sure.
Or second round playoff. The second round is set, right?
Yeah, we got 20 minutes, so we'll do a quick playoff preview, and then we'll go through questions.
Yes, we don't have that many questions. So the first series we should talk about, the Celtics just got underway. Celtics-Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics only got to the second round because Rondo got injured, I think, which is insane. Because
right.
I didn't think he would be a difference maker.
Rondo, I mean, I feel like there's certain Rondo falls in the category of guys that can turn it on in playoff time and can start giving a crap then. Obviously, Rondo at one point in his career was possibly the best player on a team with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, probably the best guy in the playoffs at least, on a team with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Those playoff runs, Rondo was one of the best players on the team, right?
I wouldn't go that far.
He
was top 4.
Fine. He was a difference maker. They would not have. I don't think they would have won without Rondo.
No, definitely not. But I mean, you're talking about 3 Hall of Famers.
I'm not saying he's better than those guys. I'm saying that he played so well that he was arguably as good, if not he was arguably the most valuable player on that team.
I would give you over maybe Ray Allen, but Garnett. You saw what happened when Garnett went down.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm over. Either way, I'm overselling that. But he was a hell of a player, really good defensively, and really helped that offense run. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to think he can't be completely lost. Like whatever's going on in the regular season, there's in some form or fashion he can turn it back on in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not getting over some major injury.
Right.
I mean, like it's not like Derrick Rose where like he's lost. Actually, Derrick Rose can get to the basket. I don't know what the hell's wrong with Derrick Rose. Like, what's the deal with Derrick Rose? Like, what about his early career now? Like, why was he so much better then? I understand he went through these major injuries, but he can get to the basket. Why can't he pass the ball when he's going to the basket?
I don't know. Maybe he's just all set on justifying that he's still in the league, that he's trying to get me points. Some guys just look after themselves.
Because he was so good at one point. Obviously, he will be the only MVP in NBA history that does not go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are you guys taking? Wizards, Celtics? You like John Wall?
See, here's the thing. The Celtics have a much deeper team, but
Yes.
the Wizards have a better starting lineup. But their bench is absolutely garbage.
Why would you call it garbage when they're giving big minutes to Jason Smith and Brandon Jennings?
That's like their two best bench guys.
It
It's
is.
ridiculous.
I mean, they're two of the. I mean, they're playing. The fact that those guys are playing says a lot about this
They're
team.
not just playing. They're playing like 25 minutes a game. Like, it's bad.
Yeah.
I want to say...
I don't even know. So, Aubrey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's on the bench, right? I don't know. I don't really know him too well. But
That's
I'm just
the last guy worth mentioning on the Wizards bench.
I'm just mentioning him because I didn't look at the plus minus for the game. He was a minus 22.
And that's their third best bench player.
He played 26 minutes.
Yeah. So I want to give. I'm leaning towards Washington in this one.
On the theory of best starting lineup beats the.
Well, best player in the series, I think, is John Wall, and the fact that Boston seemed to need an injury to a guy we thought was washed up to get out of the first round didn't really instill a lot of confidence in me.
Boston lives and dies with a 3, which is the new NBA anyway. I think the fact I think depth wins here, and I don't think I get that John Wall may be better than Isaiah Thomas. I don't think it's that much better though. It's not like he's so much better.
So do you think this is going to be a close series?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 6 or 7 games, but I still think the Celtics are going to pull it out.
I can see that.
Yeah, they still have a lot of good players in this team. I don't know. I don't see the Washington beating them.
All right,
But I think it'll be a close series. I think it'll be actually the best series we'll see in the East.
You think? Well, Raptors, Cavs.
It'll go 6 probably actually.
5 or 6. Yeah, I mean it's not going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I mean like the Cavs will be done so fast. I mean the Toronto will run over them because Toronto's. Do you think? Is there anything to say about this series? I mean, obviously Cleveland's going to win the series.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a waste of time.
I think it'll go 6 though. I think Toronto will get 2 games. I would actually be surprised if it's only 5 games.
I wouldn't.
Do you think there'll be one game where Toronto's up by like 25 points in the first half and they lose the game?
Yeah, it'll probably be the first game just to get everybody excited, and then the rest of the series is a bust.
Just for ratings' sake?
Yeah. LeBron will be like, yo, let these guys go up by a lot just so everyone could talk about how great I am again.
So after one round of the playoffs, do you think there's a chance that LeBron does not go to the finals?
No.
Okay.
I thought there was before the playoffs started. Now that I've seen all these other teams, I'm like, yeah, he's going to make it again.
I mean, people have made a lot about the fact that Cleveland's defense has been like horrible this season. But I feel like they're also a team that will turn on their defense in the playoffs.
And honestly, who else is that good?
Yeah, I mean, Celtics were the team. Obviously, Celtics have the best record in the East. If any team you feel like they might be able to beat Cleveland, but really, are they going to beat Cleveland?
No.
Yeah, the Wizards are going to beat Cleveland. Come on, these aren't really like they're not going through the Pistons, the Bull. They're not going through like they're not going through the '90s East.
Yeah, exactly.
The West, another pointless. Okay, so Golden State. Who are they beating in the second round?
The Jazz.
Oh yeah, the Jazz. So the big question in this series: will the Jazz win a game?
I don't think so.
Do you think there should be they should change the playoff format where if the Jazz it's Golden State has to win 4 games, if the Jazz win 2 games, they get the series?
They got to do something. I mean, this is all right. This is a bust of a series.
So do you think the Jazz will get a game?
No.
I feel like they'll get a game. I don't know. I feel like the whole idea of Golden State going 16-0 here, or like 12-0 to get to the finals, is not going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. But LeBron had a number of teams that went 8-0.
Yeah, Utah's got a very good team though. So if the Knicks had Utah's team, I'd be very happy. I see what's his name's health. Their center. How's he doing?
Gobert, he played today, but he got called for 5 fouls in about 9 minutes.
Yeah, so if Gobert can't get healthy for the next series, they're pretty much done. I mean, they're done anyway, but I would say having a healthy Gobert would make a big difference into getting that one victory. Yeah, their bench is not very good either, though. Okay, moving on. Golden State. San Antonio versus Houston, right?
That's going to be a fun series.
That'll be a good series. I am going to predict Houston beats San Antonio in 7.
I'm going Spurs in 6.
Okay. I think they'll have a couple of like big nights on 3-point shooting. They're tough to beat. If Houston can hit their shots, it's like really hard to defend.
Yeah, it's just that they're strictly a 3-point shooting team, and the Spurs are a very good defensive team. So that could be a problem.
I mean, yeah, I think Houston looks really good, and I think I mean, everything you're saying, it makes a lot of sense for San Antonio, but I feel like Houston's. I kind of want to see what Houston versus Golden State in the conference finals. So,
all right.
Then again, San Antonio versus Golden State would be a nice matchup, actually.
Let's go to emails.
Yes.
nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. Nick writes, imagine if we went after Rondo and Dwight Howard, even though I think we did well by not getting either, but both are much better than Rose and Noah. Rondo arguably is better point guard than Dwight, is a better point guard, and Dwight should do the same for KP that Lopez did. We were wrong for not getting either of them.
I don't know if we're wrong for not getting either of them. I think
Rondo would be better
Rondo would be better than Derrick Rose.
I mean, just because they're better than the garbage we have, it doesn't mean that it's worth getting them.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much the more logical way to look at free agency.
Yeah,
I agree. The big question, as the Timberwolves podcast said, what does it do for you? Does it really get you anywhere? Does it really help the team?
Right. Yeah, it's. I mean, maybe you could say Rondo, but I mean, really, what are we talking about? We're talking about like a couple game sample size.
It's also like
Rondo was out of the lineup halfway through the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, hey, you know what would be better for our team? Getting 2 horrible cancers for our locker room.
Right.
It's not like Rondo. Like they both have gone through destroyed teams. Like they both have since they left their initial teams. Both have not had a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this would help our locker room at all.
Yeah, no, I don't either. It's I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if you saw Dwight in the playoffs, he's not looking that great either.
No, it's not. He's not the Dwight of old. The Dwight of old actually was like a formidable presence in the playoffs, and they made Orlando really good. I mean, you forget the Hawks have Dwight Howard at this point.
Yeah. I mean, when Dwight's not like, I don't know. Well, you saw what happened to Atlanta. It's not like he was a difference maker there.
No, they're not in the playoffs anymore. So.
Okay, we got an email from Jorge. Hey, last show, Mark made the argument that nobody before Babe Ruth wanted to hit home runs I don't follow baseball, but even I know that doesn't sound right. Mark pulled a mook move.
What's a mook move?
We were talking about mook like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
It was a
Okay.
callback.
It's probably true. I'm just saying before before Babe Ruth,
Sam writes, hey, do you guys think we're going to become Orlando Magic post-Dwight or Suns post-Nash because Phil is AIDS? P.S. Doesn't Stanley from The Office look kind of like Stephen A. Smith? Yeah, it kind of does.
yeah, I can see that a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. What are you calling this, Jay?
Well, those two teams were once championship contenders, so no.
Yes, that's pretty much.
Jorge writes,
Yeah.
can you guys actually make a 13-man roster with any ex-Knicks in the playoffs, current and eliminated teams? I did that.
Oh, okay.
So we have...
Let me guess your starting 5. You got, is JR a starter?
Yeah.
Crawford's on your bench.
Yep.
This teams that were in the playoffs that could have been eliminated already, right? Not
Yes.
current.
Yep.
Okay. Zach Randolph.
Yep.
We got Felton's on your bench.
Mm-hmm.
We got Shumpert on your bench.
Yep.
We got... Who am I missing? Obviously, I'm missing some starters. Why don't you just tell me the team? We're running out of time.
Yeah, we got like 5 minutes left. We have Raymond Felton, Jerian Grant, Jose Calderon, Jamal Crawford, Trevor Ariza, J.R. Smith, David Lee, Zach Randolph, Jason Smith, Channing Frye, Iman Shumpert, Kevin Serafin, and Robin Lopez. That is a 13-man roster.
If we're going for 5 minutes of time, let me go through the Facebook questions real quick then.
Okay,
We
that
can
team is way better than our current team, by the way.
Of course. Rapid fire here. Frank writes, can we expect the same shit next year as last? Are you a Knicks fan? Gilliam writes, if there was no max salary, how much would Giannis be worth?
35?
I think the Knicks would pay 35 for him.
Yeah.
Frank writes, would have been better off with Raymond Felton at point guard instead of Rose.
Yep.
Would we have been better off?
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm gonna kill myself. Paul writes, the Celtics losing would have been good, but do you even want the Clips to lose and get Blake? I would have preferred Rivers, JJ, and Crawford, and a pick or something. Phil's desire to fill his Melo spot with another key player scares me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, the Clippers losing is more just funny because you know they're going to do something crazy now. Hopefully it's not just trading Melo for Blake. Although, I mean, if they do that, I wouldn't mind seeing the Knicks then trade Blake for something else.
That's the reason I like the trade, is because you can get a lot. You could probably get draft picks from someone else for Blake, and Blake is young enough that some bad team would go give you value for him.
Yes.
If you trade him to the Suns or maybe not the Suns, I don't know, but some team would say like, hey,
Celtics.
He's how old Blake right
28.
now? 27?
28.
28. Okay, he's still got some prime years. You can get picks for him. It would make a lot of sense to get Blake versus the other guys. The Crawford, Rivers, you just can't get as much for them.
Yeah.
Gillum writes, when Phil first arrived, he talked about building a culture. The other day, I was listening to Joe Dumars in an interview with Woj, and he said the most important thing as a GM is building culture. Last week, you were talking whether Phil thought the triangle was failing because of Melo. Does maybe Phil feel Melo is a problem for building that culture regardless of the system? Do you think Melo is a good player to have regarding culture?
I haven't heard much about him being a bad locker room presence.
I don't know. He went through the playoffs for 10 straight seasons.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, how he's not. I don't know if I think he's locker room cancer.
No, some story would have come out about him. I haven't heard anything really.
I mean, even like KP says he likes Phil, likes Melo. Like, guys like playing with him. He doesn't. Obviously, he's not LeBron out there, but I have a problem thinking a guy that goes to the playoffs for 10 straight seasons. I'm not sure is it 10 straight seasons he went to the playoffs?
I think so. Yeah.
I have a problem thinking the guy that went to the playoffs for 10 straight seasons, could that be much of a locker room cancer? You mean, like, as far as culture's important. I totally think so, but I think I don't think he might be the ideal guy, but you could build around him.
Yeah.
He's probably can't be your number one guy to build around. You put him next to LeBron, no one has any concern with Melo's culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that obviously you can put anyone next to Cub. You can put J.R. Smith next to LeBron, and it works out. Jaime writes, the Knicks should get a new owner and come to Belmont and play in the same stadium as the Islanders when they move.
They're not moving from MSG.
The Belmont?
The Islanders got kicked out of Barclays.
Why did they get kicked out?
Nobody's going to see him.
But why would the Knicks play Belmont? The Knicks are as prime a spot in New York City as you can get.
That's the only reason people are going to the games is their location.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like by Penn Station's not like the best part of New York City, but like you're in. How many sports teams are in New York City? In Manhattan?
2.
Who am I thinking was the second one?
Really? The Rangers.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Jesus Christ. All right, moving on.
Yeah. And there's Twitter questions.
Yeah, so Kero writes, which would you personally prefer, drafting an unknown commodity at 7 or trading the pick for a young proven player? So he gave us some examples. The Grizzlies traded Sharif Abdul-Rahim for the 3rd pick, which ended up being Pau Gasol. Pacers traded Antonio Davis for the 5th pick, which was Jonathan Bender. Spurs traded George Hill for the 15th pick, Kawhi Leonard. So that's two times it worked out. One time it definitely did not.
I'm pretty sure the percentages may not play out exactly like that in real life. But I like the unproven commodity because you're trying to, if you want to have a team that make the leap to really great, you got to like take some gambles. And the drafts where the gambles pay off the most.
Yes.
A young proven player, those gambles don't work out as well. You still have to overpay for that.
Well, plus with a draft pick, you get their rookie contract for 4 years. Yeah,
because whoever the young player, you have to pay him a lot of money. I just feel like you're not going to get the level of player you can get through the draft. I mean, the ceiling basically is just a lot higher with the draft.
Yeah. So Twitter is at NY Knicks Podcast. Michael also just sent a message. Watching Joe Johnson excel at playing the 4 makes me furious. Why wasn't Melo at the power forward an option?
I don't get why this never could be. I know Melo said he did not like playing the 4, and I know that a lot has been made of that. Why couldn't they just like get him to play the 4 anyway?
Yeah, they should have been like, well, I'm the coach and you're playing the 4.
Yeah, that's what kills me is that like you couldn't just say we're building this way. This is what your limitations are. I can't. You're trying to talk him into the goddamn triangle. Talk him to playing the 4. Like, why can't anyone just talk him to playing the right position?
So that's all the time we have today. Thank you for listening, everybody. We will be back possibly next week. And then I will be going on vacation where Mark is going to do his very first show without me. So we'll see how that goes.
It'll go terribly.
Gonna try and get a live reaction of the draft order.
And if you are listening to us on Dash Radio today, we want to thank you. And you are proof that Dash Radio actually exists.
In the meantime, you could find all the rest of our shows on iTunes or the New York Knicks podcast.com. You can check out other NBA shows at almightyballer.com. And you can leave us an iTunes review if you want.
Do you like comedy? Do you like hearing us talk about other things besides the Knicks? There's The Brink of Sanity, our show. You can find it on iTunes.
That's right. Type The Brink of Sanity into iTunes, and you will get us again doing a hilarious comedy podcast.
Do you like cozies to keep your toilet paper warm? Jay makes them. Send us money, and he'll mail you a custom-made cozy for toilet paper.
I make them and put them on Etsy.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Bye, bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away.
I'm gonna leave.